Bucks Nation, what's going on? Hopefully, you guys are having a wonderful Sunday. Man, I've been sleeping away most of the day. I was pretty pretty exhausted after waking up so early, going to the game, hanging out, seeing Colin last night, hanging out with him. That was a lot of fun. Life in football. Be sure to subscribe to him if you haven't. And I've had some time to go look back at parts of the game and just kind of think about again more so or some of the things that I saw with this team and wanted to come back and talk a little bit more about these things. So be sure to hit that like. Let me know in the comments who's watching. First shout out to K Vizzy. I will comment on this soon. Says, come on, coaches, we let these kids down. Why waste a timeout? Personally, I think we got some bigger issues than one timeout, but you're getting at something that I'll comment on later, K Vizzy. I do appreciate that. But let's start out first. I want to start out with talking about Sean Lewis. I want to start out talking about this offense because, again, there we were slow getting started yet again, right? But man, I feel like, guys, we got to keep some things in perspective here, okay? Yes, it was another slow start, but this offense put up 41 points yesterday. And some people are calling our offensive coordinator, public enemy number one. We need to get rid of this guy. No, trust me, this is going to get better as time goes on. And again, we saw a lot of the improvements that we were hoping to see this week with establishing more of the run game. And again, 45 passes to 45 runs. And I wanted to point out this stat that I thought was really interesting. Again, that the slow start to the game with the offense is why I can't give Sean Lewis like an A grade or the offense an A grade. But I'm going to give him a solid B plus because we accomplished a lot of things that we wanted to do. And typically, if your team puts up 41 points, you should win, right? But check out this little stat here. Let me pull this up. 9 of 18 on third downs. I love that. Colorado had 32 first downs, 17 being rushing, 12 being passing, and then 3 came by penalty. So the majority of your first downs came from rushing. Again, I need to go back and look at what these stats were for the other games, but I'm pretty confident that this is the first game in which we've accomplished that, where we're getting more first downs rushing than we are passing. We led the time of possession, which was a huge deal coming into this game. If we were going to have a shot, if we were going to keep it close, we needed to have time of possession, and we beat USC out for that. And overall, incorporating Shador, encouraging him to run a little bit, that helped him keep him a little bit more upright. I think he took 2 or 3 sacks this game, which again, we need to see continued improvement, but that has been improvement over the last few weeks, which is great. And him as a running threat, overall kept him upright, in my opinion, a little bit more, and also kept the defense on their heels a little bit as well. So I do want to give a shout out to our offensive line. We played better. We played better this game. That is for sure. Anthony Hankerson, 16 attempts, 74 yards, a touchdown. And we ran for 196 yards, I want to say. Something like that, 193. If you take away the sacks, the few sacks that Shador had, I mean, because I don't know why college does that, but we ran for well over 200 yards. That's a huge deal. And I do not care that this is the USC Trojans defense. We were talking about, man, if we could just have somewhat decent of a run game, if we could hit over 100 yards, that would be a big deal for this offensive unit going forward. And we did that. And we pretty much doubled it as well. Um, let me get to the offense. Omarion Miller. Again, this guy is ready to play, man. Obviously. 196 yards in essentially one half of football, 8 targets, 7 receptions. And some of those receptions that he had, they were technical. I mean, the one where he was on the sideline, like falling out of bounds. Shedeur put it right on the money. He kept both of his feet in bounds. Man, seeing that kind of play from a true freshman is something that's really impressive. Okay. Then we talk about, his big time touchdown catch with Shedeur, man, threading the needle. Beautiful. He's got big time speed. He was racking up the yak. If the USC player didn't trip him up in the fourth quarter after he kind of took this little comeback or curl route back upfield, I mean, we probably win this game, man. If they don't get that tackle, because then we score immediately, and then we got time left on the clock. We got it. Mikey Harrison, I'm going to continue to ask that CU give this man a scholarship. 8 targets, 6 receptions for 44 yards and a touchdown. And Jimmy Horn played really well. 7 receptions, 84 yards, 2 touchdowns. Love it. Love it, love it, love it. And Xavier Weaver, 7 receptions, 29 yards, low yardage. But again, it's nice to see him continuing to get those kinds of looks from Shedeur. But, all that to say regarding the offense, this is an offense that we saw improvement from over the last few weeks, over the last couple weeks, for sure. And Buffs fans, it's like, I realize that we're excited. I realize that, man, we love all this. But, I mean, can you think of a game in which you've seen your team call a game perfectly? No, I can't. There are things to criticize that absolutely deserve criticism. But to go as far as saying this man doesn't know how to call an offense, this man doesn't know what he's doing, that is absolutely ridiculous. You can go back and look at what he's done this year. You can go back and look at what he did with Kent State in 2022 with his offense, because the personnel was a lot different than what he had in 21. And he fits his scheme to the players that he has. We have been waiting to see a little bit more creativity, a little bit more emphasis on, making Shedeur's life a little bit easier, making the offensive line's life a little bit easier. And we took a step in that direction this game and put up 41 points while doing it. 45 passes to 45 rushes. There are things to criticize, like I said, but saying that this man needs to go is absolutely ridiculous. And I'm not tolerating that here on the David Talks Buff channel. We put up 41 points yesterday, and some of you guys are wanting this guy gone. No. Trust me. With the terrible offenses and offensive coaching that I have seen over the years, I'm not going to take this for granted. No. I'm just not. Well, let's talk about the timeouts, man. In the end of the game, I want to talk about this as well. Some of y'all were really mad at Sean Lewis. I think some of y'all didn't realize that Shedeur, he even said it. He was checking into some of these run plays based on the fronts that he was getting in the fourth quarter. It's not that big of a deal for me that we were kind of taking our time on that last drive, because unless you had 4-5 minutes, I think Rawhide Media was saying the same thing that I was saying yesterday too. With the new clock rules, unless he had 4 or 5 minutes left on the clock, you weren't going to have a shot anyways. You absolutely weren't going to have the shot anyways. To stop them on defense on another possession, force a punt, and then have time to get back downfield. The thing that I think people should be more criticized with is something, again, that Kay Vizzy brought up right at the beginning of this show, is that the timeouts put us in that situation. Using the timeouts before the end of the fourth quarter, towards the end of the fourth quarter, that kind of put us in that position. But I think at that point, we knew we needed to get that onside kick. We got to make sure that we score. Yes, Yes, do I wish that we had scored with more time left on the clock? Sure. But at the end of the day, that's a secondary issue compared to the fact that we didn't have any more timeouts, come to the second half of the fourth quarter. And really, at that point, your options are, to win, they are minimal. It really just depends on the onside kick, which going to special teams, man, we just did not execute. We just did not execute. And Rawhide Media brought up something like about this yesterday too, which I thought was interesting. He thinks that Mark Bassett had the option as a punter to run that punt out, thought he had it, realized he didn't have it, and then kicked it right into the guy. That very well could have been the case. I'm not really sure. But nonetheless, the biggest area of improvement for this team needs to be special teams. Again, with the missed field goal and the blocked punt, that is a 10-point swing. We win this game if special teams does their job. That's really it. And then no one's talking about how Sean Lewis is a terrible offensive coordinator or any of these things. Now let me get to the defense real quick, and then I'll get to some of your comments. Let me pull this up. Cormani McClain, man. I am so happy, and you could tell at the end of the game. That what Coach Prime called him out and gave him credit, said that I was very proud of you. You could just tell that meant a lot to him. I was so happy. To see that because Cormani McClain played a fantastic game. Especially for a true freshman. A lot of the times USC was having success picking on wide receivers that he was not covering. He was locking down his sides. He played really well. And again, he was around the ball for a lot of these plays. He should have had that interception. I don't agree with that pass interference call. Was that on Cooper Ward? I can't remember. Anyways, he could have had his first interception. A game of inches, that knee on that tight end, it might have been, was just slightly down right before that fumble came loose and he got it. He has a nose for the football. And this goes back to the stuff that we were looking at his time in high school. He always finds himself around the football. He's always putting himself in position to make plays. And we're going to continue to see that moving forward, as soon as next week when we take on Arizona State, because we're definitely going to need him. He played a great game. He should be very proud of himself. He had a wonderful pass breakup in the red zone on Brendan Rice. And again, what do? They move Brendan Rice onto the other side. Once Travis and Shiloh are back, man, this defense is going to be, going to be scary with their pass coverage. That is for sure. And again, I want to give a shout out to Roderick Ward again, leading the team in tackles, filling in for Shiloh, not having gotten a ton of time yet on the field. But it was nice to get after the quarterback a little bit. I think we had some success with that. Of course, we want to see more of that moving forward. But again, I think there's a lot of positives that you can take from this comeback against USC. It just wasn't a comeback to full completion where, we got the win. But I'll end this by saying credit to Sean Lewis, because falling in a big time hole, he could have easily gotten outside of himself, gotten outside of the game plan like he did last week against Oregon. And then it's just a mess. The players, they check out. No, Sean Lewis still looked to establish the run game even after falling into that hole. And the players responded. The players did not give up. They were resilient. And we almost pulled off the comeback. Again, why I can't give any groups, an A is because we are so slow starting out to every game. Again, this is a coaching and players thing collectively. I think that this is a mental hurdle that we have to get over, where we have to be the aggressors. But USC was the more physical team in that first half, and I don't think it's a coincidence that we were the more physical team in the second half, and we won the second half. So, anyways, I'll get to your guys' comments, questions. I'll go here for a little bit. As always, really appreciate your time. And again, if you want to ensure that that I see your comment, always feel free to send a super chat. That boy Rico, you and Sean Lewis could be brothers. I guess so with this beard, man. I really need to trim it. Yeah. Nicholas Braxton, what's good, man? Appreciate you checking in. K Busy says we should have challenged that offsides, wasted a timeout for no reason. Yeah, I'm trying to remember again. Man, the refs sucked in this game. The Pac-12 refs are the worst in big-time college football. I mean, this is what every game is like in the Pac-12, whether you're watching the Buffs or not. Like, this is just how it is. The fact that they would allow Colorado to use a timeout on something, and then they're like, no, we're actually going to review things, and then they don't give us that timeout back, that is ridiculous. And John Wick saying it right here. Shador said it was on him for slowing down the game. Yes. Everyone needs to stop freaking out. Everyone needs to stop freaking out. Again, that is a lot bigger deal to me if we have timeouts. But we didn't have timeouts. We were going to have to hit that onside kick. And maybe it's a different game, if we're actually able to execute that onside kick. But, man, special teams, man, they're doing us no favors right now and making things easy. They have not been a reason why we have won any games this year. And you would hope with special teams, man, they can help you get some of those close wins because you're winning, that third phase of the game. They need to step up. Nicholas Braxton saying, I just hope Cormani realizes Coach Prime is trying to push him to be great. I hope he stays the course. I think so. And again, it's so important for a young player like that to experience some success, having the team rally around him, hear the fans cheering for him, understanding like, hey, I've had this success. Now I'm going to take it another level by, putting in the amount of time outside of practice, to prepare even further. Man, he'll get there, man. This was so great to see. And again, I think we've seen just a lot of overreaction. Why isn't this happening? Why isn't that happening? Why isn't this player happening? Again, I would like to see more out McCaskill. Like, don't get me wrong, but especially with these young freshmen, man. Sometimes like we just have to be a little patient. We just have to be a little patient. A lot of us are very critical, man, of these 18-year-olds, and then we forget how many of us were, myself included, were just knuckleheads at 18 years old, man. Cormani's going to put it together. And he is. He took big steps this week. Love to see that. What's up, David? Sco Buffs. Thank you, Marcellus Love. I appreciate it. Again, great weekend, in Boulder yesterday. Shout out to the fans. We brought it. We did not lose hope being down 21 points. And, man, that comeback, man, it's going to serve as a confidence booster because if, and again, this is a huge if because we haven't seen it yet, if we can put together a game of, a complete 4 quarters, like a complete game, there's no reason why we shouldn't win out with our remaining schedule. It only gets easier from here in our conference play. And that's not to say that there are teams we should take lightly. That's not true. Like, we got a lot of tough matchups ahead, but with what we have seen, the glimpses of this team with certain halves and quarters that they've played, if they can just put it all together for a full 60-minute game, there's no reason why they shouldn't win out. Can they do that? That's going to be, fun to see, right? I'm hoping, but again, we haven't seen it yet. We need to do this. And K-Vizzy, yeah, I commented on this yesterday. I don't know what the heck was up with the field. Everybody was slipping. That needs to be fixed. I don't know why the paint wasn't new. it it kind of looked high school level, and we did ourselves no favors with the field condition. We were slipping all over the place. That needs to get fixed, and that is something that's in our control, like as a program. And it sucks to see that happen. I wonder why that happened. I don't really know. Ome, even though Hank played really good, why isn't McCaskill getting reps? He's a game changer. I agree with you. I think that they're again trying to get him up to kind of ease him up, I guess, like into more of a starting or full time role. I will say there was a play. Again, I was at the game, so I can't remember what play this was, but I'm like 90% sure he was in the game for this passing play and he missed the blocking assignment. And I don't remember him seeing him after that. So yeah, I would like to see more of him moving forward. I think Arizona State, hopefully we can get off to a fast start this time. And, on the road, that will be important to get off to a fast start on the road. I would like to see a lot more of McCaskill next game. Miller's the only one running routes perfectly and gets him in a spot. Man, he looked like a veteran out there. That is for sure. And I think we'll see a lot of him next week. But someone brought up in my post game live stream yesterday, what do you do when Travis is back? Man, who knows? Who knows? But I think again, you'll be able to run some interesting looks. Maybe subbing out Jimmy for certain things because Omarion's a bigger guy, or Xavier if he needs a rest. Travis, again playing multiple positions all the time. We want to make sure that he is, that he can play and is healthy for the rest of the season. Mr. LPJ on Twitch, I appreciate you. Do I have a favorite soccer team? I do not. But if you can make a case for one, maybe I can become a fan. But I will watch like the World Cup every now and then. It's just, USA, man, we're not very good. I will cheer for Mexico, though. Scorpio Vibes, awesome screen name. It's surprising that Coach Prime told Omarion he played poorly in practice, and that's what I love about Coach Prime. Like he is honest, he is truthful, he isn't going to sugarcoat things. Like he is consistent, and again, I don't think he's saying any of these things like. And to me, they don't come off as like jabs or anything. He's just being honest. He's like, I'm very impressed. He wasn't playing good in practice, and he balled out. And I think it's important for players to see that, especially when like for instance, like with his comments on Cormani, with that constructive criticism or feedback this week that he had publicly for him. Again, it's not, this is just who he is. He's going to keep it 100 with everybody when he's asked about them. And yeah, it was great to see both of them respond. They were both gamers yesterday, that is for sure. And our team is going to be a lot better off with them moving forward now, having had this success that they had against USC last week. No doubt. And Nicholas Braxton, you bring up a great point. Omarion is the only true X CU has on the roster besides Travis. Yes. And that does make me wonder, will Travis get, some more breaks or get to pick and choose a little bit more of when they have him on offense? It's going to be hard to tell that man not to play, though. To stay. Sean called a good game. Yes, not a perfect game. He called a good game. Absolutely. People want to see two go deep, but he can't with that offensive line. Yes, and you really have to pick and choose. And we did have, of course, more deep shots this game that were successful compared to like Oregon. And to me, it's not a coincidence that off of some of these play actions and RPOs and stuff like that, You know, 45 run plays. It does not surprise me that Shador is able to take some deep shots. I think, of course, we'd like to see more, but we were successful at a lot of the ones that we took this game because we established a run game. That was so huge. Yeah, he called a better game. That is for sure. And again, this is a big step in the right direction. We have told ourselves, good Lord, if only we could just get a run game of like 4 yards a carry, then we can start putting up points. Uh, we did those things and we put up 41 points, which in like 90% of the games you should win when you put up 41 points. Giggity. Is Sean Lewis sending in the play and personnel, and then Shador makes the final decision on what to run? That very well could be the case. I'm not really sure. Some teams. I think this is more on like a professional level, but it wouldn't shock me if this is what they do with Shador. Sometimes they call two plays, and then they give the quarterback the option to call whichever one that they want based on the look that they're getting. Or, Shador just has the ability to check into certain audibles based on the fronts that he's getting. Marlon Joseph, and you're totally right on the money with this. Wait till you see more of Alton McCaskill. He's a Heisman level back, only got one carry for 5 yards yesterday. Yes, 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 yes. He's outside of like Travis and Shador, he was probably the transfer I was most excited about coming in here. So I'm a big fan of Alton McCaskill. He is a game changer once he gets rolling for this offense. It's going to be so hard to stop this offense, man, once he gets rolling. And yeah, it's going to be fun. And we get Travis back. It's going to be great. But yeah, again, I've answered this before. I think that they're just easing his knee, you know, up to a level in which he'll be comfortable to see more carries here in the next few weeks. Kind of my gut instinct is that he might get some more looks next week against Arizona State, but then look at the bye week. After the bye week, I think we play Stanford after the bye week, maybe where he might get, 10, 12 touches. Nick, you bring up a good point. There were some shots in the middle of the field that were open. I don't know. Again, I'm a guy here in his bedroom, so I can't tell you, I'm not around the team, so I don't know if, we just had some option routes that weren't being run to that part of the field, or if it was, direct play calling or something with the progressions of why we weren't taking more shots in the middle of the field. I mean, I think somebody mentioned the fourth down call. I'm trying to remember it. It might have been the one where like they didn't even have a guy covering Mikey Harrison. And it's like regardless of the play call, you wish they would have had, they would have just noticed that and then, kind of ran a play towards him. But yeah, there's definitely some money left on the table for sure with the play calling last week. Yeah. And then like what somebody else brought up is, the pass protection wasn't always great. So that could have been a reason of why we didn't see more deep shots. Oh man, I got a super chat from Bodie. Thank you so much. That means so very much. One of my day ones going back to when I started this channel in like February. So always appreciate you. Yo, Dave, what's up? Hey, what did you think about them running the ball in the last minutes instead of the passing? They look suspect. I don't know. It just seems like to have been the wrong plays. Yeah. Again, I might have already answered your question, but yeah, Shador was saying that he was checking in to some of these run plays, at the end of the game based on the looks that USC was giving. They just didn't kind of work out. They did on some of those plays actually on those drives, if I remember correctly. But again, the bigger issue isn't for me with wasting some of the time on the clock, kind of at the end of the game, or him taking time to check into plays. It's the fact that we had no timeouts left in that second half of the fourth quarter. If that's the case, you might see us running a little bit different of an offense. But yeah, unless we had like 4 or 5 minutes max, um, you know, a that's even to have a shot. That's even in getting a 3 and out against Caleb Williams in that offense again, which is a tough thing to ask for. Even having an opportunity to go back and have another drive if we don't have a successful onside kick. So you can't just blame the play calling or the lack of urgency. I don't really think it was lack of urgency. But there was a combination of factors that led to why we had to take that onside kick, and I'm sure the team will evaluate and criticize that appropriately. Appreciate your comment and your question, your super chat, Bodie. That means a lot. Jay Baru says this Shador and Dion has always been a second half team since Jackson State. Yes, they have. And again, if we're going to get there to being national champions, we gotta get over that mental hurdle and start playing, full 60 minutes of football. Cold Weather Music Group. I'm so darn proud of the Buffs second half play, and I'm not too upset with their play checking Shador did in the final minutes. Same here. Just a mistake he learned from. Yeah. And honestly, it wasn't a game-changing mistake. Like I've said, it's different if we got 3 timeouts, but we didn't. Yeah, I'm so proud of them. And this is going to be a huge stepping stone for the Buffs moving forward into conference play. Again, I picked this team to go 8-4, but if they can play a full 60-minute game consistently, there's no reason why we can't win out with our remaining schedule. Absolutely. I think our team, we should absolutely be thinking 10-2. We should absolutely be thinking like that might still get us into the Pac-12 championship, depending on how all this goes. At the very least, 10-2 is going to get us into a nice New York Six bowl game. But at the end of the day, we are exceeding expectations. We're going to have a phenomenal year, and we're going to have a lot to be happy about, no matter what bowl game we're going to. Yada yada yada. Hey Dave, what do you think about Trevor going to linebacker? That could be a little interesting. He's not the fastest safety that we have, but I'll need some more time to think about that. But right now, I think he might be a little too small for safety. And again, I think he does have 2 picks on the year for us. So he's good in pass coverage. He's just not, he's not the fastest guy that we have in our secondary. I mean, we got some really fast guys, but I think he's fast enough. Sometimes he's just not, sometimes kind of chasing guys down on the other side of the field is where you might see some of that. All right. Bobby Long. Sean Lewis is garbage. That spread offense with the lackluster O-line is not smart. We need a fullback. I mean, I completely disagree. This offense just put up 41 points. They put up over 40 points against TCU in Nebraska. They put up over 40 points against CSU. We had one really bad game against Oregon where everything went wrong. Calling him a garbage offensive coordinator is laughable. He's the best offensive coordinator that we've had probably in at least the last 25 years here at CU. So that is just ridiculous. Does he have things that he can work on? Absolutely. But to be upset at an offensive coordinator when you just put up 41 points, that is garbage. Lawrence Collins, what's up, man? Good to see you, man. Always appreciate you. And guys, Lawrence Collins is going to be on the show later this week. We got some fun things to talk about. That is for darn sure. But Bobby Long, I will give you some credit here. I still think that there are other things that we can be doing to ensure better protection for Shador. We've still mainly been doing having our 5 offensive linemen and then like a running back help out in pass protection. I think that this is a wrinkle, hopefully, that we see moving forward that you're bringing up, where we do some more max protect stuff. Because I think we got fast enough wide receivers to get open and to separate. And it would be nice to see, having some tight ends in there, 1 or 2. You can call them a fullback too if you want to do a little bit with that. I would like to see some more power sets in third and shorts, like we saw the Rick Ross package. I think once this past game where Anthony Hankerson ran it in for the touchdown. And I would like to see more of that moving forward outside of the goal line. Like if we have like a 3rd and 2 or 3rd and 1, getting Bishop Thomas, those guys out there. I think that's a great idea. And we could be doing more of that to help Shador. I agree. But again, Sean Lewis is not a garbage offensive coordinator. I think that's a little reactionary. Jay Baru, the Pac-12 is the toughest conference in college football. And how ironic is that? Now that, we're blowing this popsicle stand here in just a few months and the Pac-12 is no longer going to exist. Yeah. And that's kind of why, whether it's, Oregon, Washington, Utah, USC, whoever. I would love to see the national championship winner come out of the Pac-12, for the first time. It would be a great way to end the conference, and yeah, I'm glad that it's ending on its highest note. Really, there are a lot of good teams in the conference this year. Honest Collins says, my takeaway was the Buffs blundered the final drive. They took over 6 minutes left on the clock and didn't run their 2-minute offense. Yes, again, like I think so. Like, and like Shador said, it's like something that he'll learn from. My biggest issue, we didn't have nearly enough timeouts to help us with anything. But yeah, they were playing as if they were down 1 touchdown. They were playing as if they needed to get an onside kick no matter what, I think. But I would like to see more urgency. I agree with you guys moving forward. You can't really stop, look to the sideline and stuff like that when time is when time's getting off. Carpet Tech, thank you for tuning in. I appreciate you. Zion coming in here saying number 1 better start next week. He better. Absolutely. Did Demoy Kennedy go out with an injury or something? I haven't seen that, but or maybe it was just based on matchup, but and putting Cormani in just to see what he can do. But man, I was so impressed. I was so impressed with his game. That pass breakup again that he had on Brendan Rice, and he's going to force turnovers. I appreciate it. Optimistic. Yeah, y'all hit that like button again. If you want your question answered or comment read, feel free to send me a super chat. Nicholas Braxton says, I like Cormani. And Cormani's a likable guy, man. He's he's got a great personality. He's a little soft spoken. And you could just tell again when Coach Prime was on that stage at the end of the game and he gave Cormani props, you could tell, in his eyes that it really meant a lot to him. And man, we're just getting started here, man, with this the Broncos, we call it the no-fly zone, but whatever the nickname for this secondary is moving forward, they're going to shut guys down. Absolutely. And you're right, Jay Baru. That comment, it wasn't to make everybody, freak out. But Coach Prime, man, he knows what buttons to press with certain players, and that's what I love about him. And again, he keeps it honest all the time. Like he's not going to sugarcoat things. Man, and I love that. Man, yeah, with that we're talking about Alton. He'll have his moment. He's coming off major injury. Coach Prime showing he cares about his future. I agree, Hakeem. That is absolutely the case. We got the long game in mind with him in Buffs Nation Daily. Y'all be sure to go subscribe to him as always. He's putting out a ton of content covering the Buffs. So please be sure to go subscribe to him. He says Smoke is also an NFL talented running back. He's only playing special teams. Yeah, and again, that I would like to see more Smoke in the backfield. Like I would like to see. Don't get me wrong. Like Anthony Hankerson was running pretty well, and he had some really good runs that I remember in which he made some great reads out there on the field. But you're right. Like coming over from Kentucky, and a lot of people that I have talked with that follow SEC football, they're like, man, this guy can really play NFL potential. They've talked about, I think, on the DNVR podcast about how like he's really embraced the special teams role because he understands he's going to need to be doing that at the NFL level. But he's an NFL type back. I agree with you. I would like to see more of him. I would like to see what he can do against some of these Pac-12 defenses because, he's a big physical guy. And while Alton's getting up to speed, he's another guy that we can have out there that can tote the rock with some power, a guy that can fall forward, for that extra yard or two whenever he is carrying the ball. So I agree with you. That's something that I would like to see more of. But Akeem, another great point that you bring up here, asking him to come back against Oregon and USC, his first two games is a lot. Yeah, we should see more of him moving forward, no doubt. I do. My initial expectation was that Alton would leave for the NFL draft after this year. Probably not going to be the case. So, man, when we have Alton next year, when we have another year Dylan Edwards, Hankerson, we got is it Wilder that's coming in, running back from Florida, or there's another guy, man, that kind of a power back too that's coming in. Man, we're gonna have a big all stable of running backs. I love these winning streak starts next week. Absolutely. Winning 8 straight. How about that? How about that? But yeah, it starts next week with taking care of business against Arizona State. I don't know if Jane Rashada is going to be healthy or not. We'll have to see. But we can't go in there taking anything for granted or taking anybody lightly. We have to go in there and dominate for a full 4 quarters. Drew Pine should not have success against this defense. It's time for us to step up. Some of y'all are saying move Javon Antonio back to tight end. I mean, it could be helpful in some of the blocking. I mean, that's probably what he's been best at right now. It was unfortunate, man, because, he was one of my 5, my guys coming into the season. And, man, it was painful to see him have some of that miscommunication with Shador. We're running the wrong routes. I don't know what it was yesterday, but nonetheless, like, that happened. They put Omarion Miller in there, man. He balled out. He took advantage of his moment. Love to see that. But I wouldn't mind seeing us be a little bit more creative with him as well. And Alex is coming up. Yeah, he would be a matchup nightmare for linebackers. Again, if y'all didn't know this, he was recruited out of high school as a tight end. Didn't seem to really work out well. So then he transitioned to wide receiver. Maybe last year it was when he was at is it Midwestern State? I'm trying to remember. But yeah, I mean, at this point, it's like, what do you got to lose? K Vizzy bringing up this funny comment. Crazy how the screens only work with Omarion. I know, man. Isn't that funny? I would like to see, again, some more creativity with how we're running screens. I will say, we did have more creativity this week because the screen to Michael Harrison, brilliant play call. We had some really good running back screen plays, yesterday. So we just need to keep on building with it. Again, there's only so much that you can install up front prior to the season when everyone's new, So it has been my expectation that we're going to see the playbook open up a little bit more and more, as the season goes on. And we took a step in seeing that playbook open up more against USC for sure. Chicago Chubs, the internet saying Sean Lewis was trying to throw the game. Why do you think? I mean, please provide me of any incentive for somebody who's calling a game to put out bad tape. That's ludicrous. That's ridiculous. But then again, the internet is where we find all these conspiracy theories, right? He might be in somebody's pockets. I try not to swear on this channel. Um, sometimes I do, but if that was the case, he would not be here, man. He would not be. That's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard, man. If he was trying to throw the game, then you wouldn't have seen him call the game that he did in the second quarter through the fourth quarter, man. Absolutely not. You would have seen a one-dimensional play, game called like we saw against Oregon. And I think like Oregon got up just so quickly, so fast. And they were trying to play keep up, and they just realized this time, even if you get down, you gotta have the time of possession. You gotta give our defense some time to rest. If we got to run the ball, if Shador is going to have success, we put up 41 points. Again, the fact that you guys are thinking Sean Lewis is moving forward, I'm not answering any questions. If I see it in the chat, on Sean Lewis being like a snake. That's the dumbest thing I've heard on this channel all weekend. No way. Not answering any of that. D time. Salute, Dave. CU fans, please understand that because the freshman's impact on the game, recruits are coming. Yes, 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 yes. There were a ton of recruits. Again, I'll touch on that with Lawrence Collins. Big time guys coming over here from Michigan. Brandon Davis Swain, someone that's going to be here in January, was there again. We had Boulder, local. Why am I always forgetting his name? 4-star quarterback. He started his career at Fairview in Boulder, transferred to Miami Central in Florida. Beckham Kritza, 6'5" quarterback, class of 25. I would imagine that he or Bryce Underwood, one of them is going to be the quarterback in that 25 class to be here. He was at the game, he's a great quarterback too. That's going to be fun to watch. Maybe I'll do a film breakdown of him tomorrow if you guys are interested in that, because I've been talking a lot about Bryce Underwood, but this Beckham Kritza guy is pretty good too. Kritza, got to get it right. We also had Gage Ginther, top-rated player in Colorado, offensive tackle, currently committed to the Tennessee Vols at the game. And yeah, he would be a huge flip if we can pull that off against Tennessee. Gearhead, good to see you. Having 2 games versus 1-4 teams followed with a bye is a good thing at this moment. Absolutely. I think, though, we have our bye right after Arizona State. So we have Arizona State, then we have our bye, and then we have Stanford. So nonetheless, it's going to be good to not be going up against a top 10 ranked team for the 3rd week in a row. All right, Tremaine Young saying, David, but there are way better offensive minds out there. Please name me some. Please name me some that we could just go higher right now, because, again, we've had one bad game offensively. And could we have better games offensively? Absolutely. But again, I don't want us to get entitled here, and start being kind of ridiculous. We have put up over 40 points in 4 of our 5 games. What more can you ask for, regardless of how it's done? And some of y'all are saying that's predictable. It wasn't nearly as predictable this past game. That's not true. We had a 50-50 pass to run ratio. We incorporated more misdirection, more RPO, more option looks, a lot of stuff that we've been calling for. So it's just hypocritical of me to come on here, say that these are things that I were looking for, and then to just be criticizing the fact that it wasn't done perfectly to how this guy in his bedroom imagined. No way. We saw some of those things incorporated. I think we'll see some more creativity in involving more motion, RPO, some different pre-snap looks as we move forward. Again, when everyone is new, when everyone on the staff is new, when all the players are new, when all the systems are new, there's only so much that you can install up front. All right, guys, I'm going to wrap this up here. In just a minute. Zion coming in here saying Trevor Woods got beat a lot yesterday. Yeah, he did. Some of the plays that USC scored on, I feel like, were broken coverages. And again, that's just going to happen sometimes when you got like new guys playing, replacing people that are out. Do some of those things happen if Shiloh and Travis are playing? No, probably not. But again, it's just something that usually happens that even though it's not ideal, you kind of have to live with. That he has been beat on certain plays this year. He's also made some plays. But guys, like, moving forward on this, moving forward on this channel, like sometimes, man, like, not everything freaking has to be a conspiracy. Good Lord, I'm like, why certain things aren't happening. It's a lot easier for us to to come up with these conspiracies than understand, man, sometimes what needs to happen in order to have, a perfect offense. Let's just, this is a reality check. Good Lord, not everything has to be a conspiracy, to explain away why something's not happening. At the end of the day, there are humans running this team, and there are humans on this team, and humans make mistakes. Humans don't do things very often perfectly, but I'm happy that we saw improvement. Some of y'all are telling me to catch up with the chat. David, it comes with the process of being a streamer. Right? I guess I need to expect that. We're gonna have some overreaction. Hey, I mean, I overreact. But man, I just think it's funny, man. At the end of the day, it was great to see this offense put up 41 points. I don't want us to lose lose sight of that. So, man, I really appreciate you guys' time. I'm gonna go get some dinner. But big shout out to Colin from Life and Football. It was great hanging out with him and his family last night. That was a lot of fun. So please go subscribe to him. Shout out to Buffs Nation Daily for checking in. Go subscribe to him. Buffs Overload's another new account getting started that y'all could go follow. Who else? Who else we got? Rob the Man Media, Big Dog Chico, of course, one of my big time partners. We'll be back streaming the Arizona State game together this next week, which will be a lot of fun. But really appreciate your time. Oh, I'll answer this question really quick from Raising Eyebrows. Do you see other college programs taking well off, reach the people, and the pregame shows blueprint, a more frequent, personal, behind the scenes content? If they're smart, they should. Because, man, I love that stuff, man. I love that stuff. It brings eyeballs. It brings attention. It brings excitement to the fan base. It can help invigorate a fan base. I think it's really smart. I think why you don't see it done as much is because a lot of these coaches are way too insecure to have the behind the scenes stuff go on. That's what it is. And you got a staff here that is very secure in themselves, and they don't like they're gonna air it, whether it's coming off of a win or coming off a loss. I appreciate that consistency, and you know what you're getting into if you choose to commit to CU, because it's gonna be a show. It's gonna be a show. So, anyways, I appreciate y'all's thoughts as always. I'll be back with story time with Colin tomorrow. We're going to talk about his trip here this weekend. We're gonna, I'll look at Beckham Kritza, take a look at his quarterback tape, Miami Central, 4-star quarterback, 6'5", and we'll see. Of course, this week I'll connect with Bird's Eye View, Rodman Media, Big Dog Chico, well, Big Dog and Dave, or Dog and Dave, and a handful of other people that you guys know that I connect with on a very frequent basis. So appreciate you guys as always. Enjoy Sunday Night Football, and as always, go Buffs.